Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to another animation analysis. This is something that only one person in my Discord decided to ask for, but this is the Road Not Taken animated short, I guess, from Genshin Impact. I hadn't heard anything about this, but I was like, you know what? It's been a while since I've touched on something from Genshin. I didn't have anything else on the animation docket for a while, so I was like, you know what? Let's get to this one first and see how this all pans out. And also for those who are interested, I am planning on giving the fan concert a watch, probably a day after it goes live, because I do have something going on the day of, so I will be getting to that at some point, assuming that it's not full of stuff that'll get me banned off the platform, because I won't know until it comes out and people warn me about it. Either way, let's get to this animation, shall we? Let's go. I'm loving the visual style on this. This, like, almost textured watercolor look that's going on here. Got a painterly aesthetic. It's been a minute since I've seen one of those. Love the visual direction of all the clouds heading towards the light. Oh, it's a song! Oh, I thought it was just gonna be like a story. Okay. We'll turn those off since they already have some. Get that Ghibli water.
Close my eyes, wondering what you would have dreamed if you were here standing next to me.
This is a very interesting accent from the singer too.
And see what I see.
Cannot place what that accent is.
Always try when you're with them and right. Though the nights are long and dark, I see you shining bright. And no matter where you are,
God, the reflections in there.
with me this far, showing the way when all is falls apart.
I'm trying to not get too distracted by the music, because I'm trying to focus on the animation. I just didn't know there would be a song. Oh, this is so beautiful. Ooh. That was Makoto Shinkai Rain right there. I know I'm throwing out a lot of names, but that was totally that style.
Already on your way, no matter where you are, I've come with you this far.
She got a very Celine Dion character in her voice. Her mouth shapes are very much like Celine's. Well, that was gorgeous. There are a few shots in there that I definitely want to talk about. Probably going to be less because I thought that there was going to be more of a story to this and not having it just be a music piece. Wow, though, the beautiful song as well. God, there's going to be so many little things that I want to talk about, and I'm going to have to like rewatch some of it before I get to those, just to make sure I don't miss anything. All right, so I mentioned this one during the reaction, but I love this direction that they're forcing you to look into. Everything's kind of coming this way down towards the light source down here, and it's just a good directorial choice. It's a good visual driving point on the screen. It's helping you focus where you need to, and they're of course not leaving the character too far away from that center point, which helps you just kind of land in the center and get yourself grounded, so to speak. It's a time-tested, tried and true method, and it just works really well, and I love that they did it for both of these characters. And of course, this whole time through, I'll be talking about a few of them, but I love that they have these characters together and basically showing them paralleled against each other. And also, something I did notice is that in this beginning section, he's at dusk, she's closer to dawn, they're alternates, but through the rest of the video, he's in the daytime and she's in the nighttime more often. I think that's a really cool detail that they're starting on the opposite side of the day. So you're basically seeing the start of his maybe at the dawn and the sunset for her. I really like that, and I definitely am going to be talking about that on the rest of the video. I'm sure a few of you saw this one coming, but I love this transition here. I actually didn't notice it the first time through during the reaction portion. I only noticed it when I was going back through and paying some more attention to the details that I might have missed. This was one of them, and this is so neat. The fact that the water comes down and it transitions to the girl instead, and of course another parallel, but also that she's looking away instead of him looking at. So that's just really, really neat. I can't believe I didn't see that the first time, but what a transition, what a moment there. And as I did mention again, that whole them being parallel all the way through, she's also being guided by somebody else where I don't know this person's name, but I do know Paimon by name, and that's who the other character is being guided by throughout all of this. So I think that's really neat too, the fact that they have different characters helping them out, and in a way, those characters are almost opposites, at least visually. You have this tiny little sprite creature that's floating around and just doing her thing, and then this edgy boy motherfucker. It's a completely different vibe, and I think that's really neat, the fact that they're utilizing all of those details and keeping everything so tightly opposite of the other character. The next point I want to talk about is actually a bit of a cut error, I would say. It's not something I would have allowed to happen if I were the director of this. I would have had them fix this. The cut itself is bad. The rest of the shot is beautiful. It's just a poor timing, unfortunately. Right here, you had this firework go off, and you had the, of course, light coming out of it, that orange glow. But as you go through here, it goes blue to orange and then fades back to blue to show that explosion happening in the time of this character being here. And it's a nice transition, but they should have started it here on a longer cut of blue. They should not have had this appear right off the bat. As a result, having that jarring moment of seeing it just kind of fade in without there being a prior explosion. The other way to handle this would have been seeing this firework go up before it exploded, or even utilizing this one, but ideally you would use the one that's bigger on the screen in order to make those transitions. And then right as that goes off, cut to the character sitting in the room with this already at full orange. It would have just made much more visual sense. It wouldn't have had that jarring moment. Those are the little things that I pay attention to and I like talking about, because obviously the talent who handled these shots are immense, but at the same time, everybody does make mistakes, and especially those little tiny ones that could affect visual clarity and could be handled better sometimes do slip through the cracks. Even in professional projects, you'll have a few of those. So I just wanted to point it out. There's actually another small detail I'll be bringing up later, but it's, again, small detail. They do happen sometimes, but I think the other one is actually a potential of being on purpose, but we'll get there anyway. Right here, they handled the water so beautifully well. Like right as the foot comes into frame, they have this beautiful reflection here. It's deforming with the water. There's no detail spared there. And as they move the foot forward and sink it into the water, you see all this rippling coming away from it. And of course, that's right on point as well. But I love that the foot is actually being distorted as well. You can see the toes and the top of the foot, the bottom, they all have this slight waviness under the water. And again, while that's a no shit kind of thing you would figure, it's one of those details that sometimes people do skip because it's a little bit too fine, especially when it comes down to a quick shot. So it's like, do we need to add that? Do we need to pay attention to that? Should we add that? And it's really not even hard to add most of the time, but sometimes they just don't get to it and they decide that it's not worth the extra time in either post or even just processing it at all and rendering it out. Sometimes they just decide not to, and I like that they didn't cut that corner this time around because I think it adds a lot to that shot, especially because they were focusing in so much on that. I love the water coming off this foot here too. It is so tight around the foot, and just the way that the water flecks off so naturally. They like kept the physics in mind when the water was being pulled away from the foot, and that like surface tension on the foot actually does exist. And that's again something that a lot of people just don't tend to pay attention to. They'll just make it a generalized lump that'll just kind of fall away, but they didn't do that here. They actually had it go up with the foot, up the ankle, and then start falling off in the shape of the foot. And that's a really, really nice attention to detail there. I kind of wonder if the person who handled this doesn't have a little bit of a foot fetish, because it's a little too much detail for a foot shot, but we aren't going to judge here. We're just talking animation. For the rest of the shot, we have a lot of match cuts with the feet being matched together, and I like that they're not exactly perfect. Like, each character is pretty distinct with how they walk, or at least in this case, we can't tell who is walking, so it could be the same character. I don't know their outfits that well. Point being, I like that they're not the same walk every single time, but I like that they're a little bit different because your gait would be different in different weather, in different parts of the world. Your feet would not be landing the same. You would be having longer strides, shorter strides, trying to adjust for your balance in different spots. That's really cool, and I love that they include that, and they don't just go, oh, let's match perfectly every single frame with the feet, because like, while that might look good in its own way, I like that they didn't do that exactly and utilize those transitional moments of the feet crossing in front of each other in order to change that and have it not feel so jarring, which could have easily been the opposite had they tried too hard, basically. I like that they didn't try too hard and just got it within the realm of possibility of where that foot might land had it crossed over and done so in the same shot. And following exactly what I just said, this is a shot that utilizes the feet doing the exact same pattern. They are definitely walking in the exact same sequence here. There is just the background and environment changing. These feet are getting recolored and their shadows are slightly affected by the different lighting situations, but it is one solid walk cycle. There's no other gait difference between these feet. You can just watch them go. And that's a sequence that works well on, whereas the other one, because there was such a difference in the environment, they didn't have them match up perfectly. And again, the detail, gotta love it. So here's that one that I mentioned might have been a mistake, but I'm not sure if it is, because it could have easily worked either way here, and it does. I love this one and how in the reflection you're seeing the other character here, and like their feet are matching as they walk through the puddles, and like that's a really neat detail. Love that one. Much like that water cascading, it's a really, really cool detail in here. But then the other character stops firmly right here as this character keeps walking. So I wonder if that was them forgetting to recycle the walking animation there, or if they straight up wanted that to happen to show them separating a little bit. Like, they may be parallel in the same world, but not necessarily living the exact same experience. And I think both of those potentials are cool in their own way. So I'm not mad about that one, but part of me does wonder if that was actually intentional to have them stand here while the other person continues to move on, especially because the character stops exactly flat and there's no like stance separation in the legs. It doesn't feel too natural. It feels pretty stilted, like basically going into a T pose. So I wonder if it was truly the option that they wanted to go for, or if they just forgot to hit loop again on the animation frames. I don't know, but either way, it's a really cool sequence, and I love that they had it there no matter what the answer is. And this is another parallel detail that some people might not have recognized, but I'm sure a lot of people did. This little sequence here where you see the characters like interacting with each other, and it's just this cute little stuff in between them looking at each other, is a direct parallel to the same cuts of the other character later. Like, this is the payoff of the water moment, this is the payoff of her looking down, this is the payoff of her eating, this is the payoff of her going to poke the face, and of course we get the payoff of them looking at each other at night. That's so cool. I love that they did that. Another really cool detail to show those parallels happening, but most likely trying to push that idea of of even though we are apart, we are not apart forever, and we will be back together at some point, showing a little bit of that nostalgic pain, that like homesickness feeling potentially, and it looks gorgeous, and I love that they included it. And the last thing I wanted to talk about here, of course, were these two stars, because as close as they look in the night sky, you know that they are millions of miles apart, and I'm sure that's the intent there. It's just another one of those parallel things. I love this short for how intelligent it was at showing all those details. And there's a lot of other details I'd love to go on with the actual animation, but I think that there's enough of me just yapping about how cool some of those parallels are that I didn't want to go on for another half hour talking about little details in the animation itself, because I already talked about plenty in just the shots themselves. But yeah, I think that's about it. So thank you all so very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. It was definitely something I didn't really plan to do. It was just kind of a, hey, I should get to that at some point, and here we are. And if you enjoyed the video and you do want to see more Genshin stuff, I of course have the whole playlist of stuff I've already done music reactions and analysis on, other animations I've touched on from Genshin, and I'll be doing that fan concert reaction here within the next week. So if you want to watch that, you want to follow and support me, you know how to do all that, and I will see you all in the next video. Goodbye!